So, hello everyone. Welcome to the Imperfect Environmentalist community. We have more participants today than was expected, which is so exciting. So there's Dhruv, there's Aditi, there's Neha from UT, sorry, Austin, Texas. Hannah? Okay, and there's Shua from Savannah, and we call her Shua. Her name is Anushwa, but yeah, she's from Savannah, so a lot of different time zones are going on. And she has said that she will be a silent spectator, but we will drag her into the conversation. Anyway, but the name of the community is Imperfect Environmentalists because we wanted to show that there is merit in being imperfect. So whether you're an imperfect vegan, an imperfect minimalist, or an imperfect environmentalist, if you're passionate about doing something, you don't need to do it perfectly, and it's way better to do it imperfectly than doing nothing at all. So I feel like there should always be like a spectrum or range allowed even in this, where you're just figuring things out. And yeah, so just because you aren't doing everything you need to be doing according to some stuck up person on the internet, you can still join our community. And yeah, the word imperfect also will give us some immunity against haters. That's why we kept our name like this. So yeah, and just to be clear, none of us are experts. We all are beginners, and we just wanted to start a community where we can start conversations with anyone who is even slightly interested. So, yeah, pretty desperate that way. We're also planning to bring in as many experts as we can from various fields who are working with the environment in some capacity or the other. And this is our very first episode, so congratulations to us. Silent claps. We will just be doing an introduction of ourselves. That was still silent, though. I don't know why. But we will just be doing an introduction of ourselves and of where we are in our journeys, and just covering some basic questions to give like a trailer to what this channel would be about. So, yeah, just if Dhruv, you can start the introduction. What is your background in, and what are you doing for the environment, and what do you hope to achieve from the community?
Thank you so much, Kruti. I mean, this is really fun, and I'm super excited for this podcast. Yeah, so I am Dhruv Vairagi. I'm currently studying Masters of Urban Design at UT Austin. Will be graduating soon. And yeah, I sort of connected with Kruti and Anushwa initially during my college days when we started like a zero waste. And so, as in, like, we started talking about zero waste and sustainability, and from then on we like I got super passionate into it, and my parents became vegan for health reasons, so I sort of got into veganism also. But yeah, so my journey has been pretty like rocky, in the sense that I've had a love-hate relationship with environmentalism, because I sometimes used to do it, and I sometimes wouldn't do it. So the idea of imperfect environmentalism really stuck onto me, and I think, yeah, I'm super excited for that. But
Cool. Neha, would you like to continue with the introductions?
Sure. Hi, I'm Neha. I'm a former student. I am an UT Austin alumni and a former industrial design student, but a full-time user experience designer for almost 7 years. Currently based in Austin, Texas. And what brings me here is, yeah, I connected with Dhruv because we share the same concern for the environment. He's a friend of friend, and he introduced me to the rest of the brilliant bunch here. What I'm hoping out of this is more conversations, maybe bring about whatever small change we can, and have more active, like-minded, eco-conscious individuals. Yeah, that's it. Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, we will be able to achieve that. Aditi, do you want to go next?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm really excited to be part of this. To begin introducing myself, I would say I met all of these lovely people through UT Austin, which is where I'm studying currently as a grad student. My specialization is in a field called sustainable systems, which looks into building energy usage and energy management systems. And I would say my interest in environmentalism probably um, roots from my family as well. My mother is a passionate uh, environmentalist, so I think that sort of trickled down to me. And I think the question about what do I do as for the environment or as an environmentalist is a call for introspection, which is, I think, exactly what I want from the community. um, it's looking into what I'm doing. And I think that having a community which also is passionate about it will keep me going. And that's exactly what I look forward to in the community.
That's great. Hopefully, we can call your mom also for one of these sessions someday.
Yeah, I can do that.
Shua, if you're not in your bubble.
Hi, my name is Shua. I'm an illustrator and I just graduated from SCAD, which is Savannah College of Art and Design. I've always struggled with, I guess, being an environmentalist, if you would so to say. I've always put convenience over intention a lot of times, which is what I hope to get out of this group is how to incorporate it into these practices into my everyday life so that something I believe is also something I practice in.
That's great. I think we all have put convenience before environmentalism at some point in our lives. So that's fine. Anyway, my introduction is that I have done my architecture degree and also I worked for like various residential projects for 4 years. And even now I'm like freelancing and doing this. And this September, I hope to start my graduation in MSc Sustainability and Management at the University of Bath. So hopefully, I'll get a lot of people here also. And while working and freelancing, I try to explore sustainable materials in whatever limited capacity I could. But like in the lockdown, I started composting and gardening. And now I set up a community compost facility in my building with the help of my mom. So I think I was hoping that whenever I get stuck or overwhelmed, which is very often, I was hoping that this community will like move me forward and motivate me and my bigger vision was to enable more collaborations in this community. So yeah. So on to the next question. Who, according to you, is an environmentalist? Would you call yourself one? So, Neha, can we start with you?
For the longest time, I assumed being an environmentalist is like you have a degree in that field and you kind of collect data with,
Right.
how environmental factors and elements interact with each other and how they maintain a balance. And if
Yeah.
something throws it off balance, they will investigate and propose solutions to counteract that damage. So with that definition, I certainly don't consider myself an environmentalist.
Right.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
And Aditi?
Yeah, I think for me, an environmentalist would be somebody who's just mindful, and the fact that every action you take, identifying what impact it has on the environment in general, in terms of what you buy, if that crosses your mind, I think to me that would be somebody who's at least inclining towards being an environmentalist, or um, making sure that the way they lead their life is going towards that.
Right.
And that's, I think, something I aspire to be as well. So I think
Right.
that would be what I think
So
an
my
environment.
answer is a little bit between both of you, where I feel like environmentalism comes from the intention, like being mindful, like Aditi said, but also statistics and the data and research is important, which is why I'm doing the degree. Uh, but yeah, I definitely want to hold myself accountable and call myself an environmental, like it's a law of attraction thing. I feel if I say it enough times, I'll become one. And also, I identify as an environmentalist, so if anyone objects, they'll get cancelled. Uh, yeah, Dhruv, can you?
No, I was just laughing so that people can hear.
So sweet of you. Can you add or can you
Yeah, of
answer?
course. Yeah, I think for me, what Aditi said makes a lot of like I relate with that kind of a definition for environmentalism where like you don't have to have a degree, let's say, or you can be a, a normal day-to-day person who just is mindful of what they are doing.
Right,
But and the issue with today's world is that if you're not doing it perfectly, like let's say if you're zero waste, but if you're not saving water, then you're not like people just say that, hey, how do you call
right,
yourself an environmentalist? So I feel
right,
that's something, those stigmas are something that we need to break. And that's what I'm hoping to do through this, platform where we can at least start the conversation that, hey, it's completely normal for you to be, imperfect, and you don't and like don't believe in labels. Like it's completely fine, as like in one of our previous conversations we were just discussing that it doesn't have to be a black and white thing. It can be completely, somewhere in between. So I feel that the whole point is that you get to mobilize people and start an action. It's like 100 people doing it imperfectly rather than 5 people doing it imperfectly. What is the bigger impact?
right,
So yeah.
right. Yeah, sure. Do you want to?
I feel like I agree with most of what y'all are saying, but there has to be like a certain level of action and intent both involved in order to be called something, whether it's anything. It's like the
Right,
intent to do it is something that um, most of us, if we can decipher right from wrong, we're able to have the right intent. But then what do you do about that intent? Do you actually put yourself in a situation where you do something about it? What do you do to make a difference? So I think if anyone puts in a little bit of effort from their side, whether it's something as simple as not using a specific material or making your own soap or whatever it is that people do in their own capacity, as long as you're putting some action to your intent towards the environment, I feel like you could be an environmentalist.
right. That's great. So, do you consider yourself as an environmentalist?
Not really, not as much as I want to, but I hope to get there properly someday. I have a bunch of excuses right now. Oh, I'm a student. Oh, I don't have time. But I am really
Totally
hoping.
valid excuses, but yeah.
No, but I'm hoping to put more,
It's
be
you
more
are.
aware of my
Yeah.
actions. Yeah.
It's you are what you believe in. So if you start
Yeah.
believing that you are an imperfect
Fake it
environmentalist,
till you make it.
yep, exactly.
Okay, so what are your thoughts on imperfect environmentalism and what are your thoughts on imperfect, the word imperfect? Dhruv, do you want to, anything you can add?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of negativity that's been attached to this word, and I feel there's so much power that imperfectionism has, which we need to realize. Like, like let's talk about veganism, for example. Like, you don't have to be completely, like plant-based to create an impact. You can even have, if someone needs to have chicken but they are leaving out on dairy, like you can do that if that's,
Yeah.
creating an impact. That's the same thing, that same logic can be applied anywhere. So I feel that uh is something that we need to talk about. Yeah.
I'm as you say, I have chicken, but I'm a vegan.
No, I mean, like, you don't exactly, like, you
We
don't need to
exist.
believe in the labels. Like, it's just a funny meme
Yeah.
that we all saw. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, Dhruv doesn't have chicken, but I'm just glad.
Yeah.
Anyway, um,
Thanks. A little bit.
Anyone else? Aditi, do you want to go?
Sure. I think so. Speaking from personal experience, I noticed that during the lockdown, when I was back home, um, working remotely on an internship, had all of the time in the world to actually, pursue my passion. Back then, I had the opinion of being this perfect environmentalist. And I think there was a certain point in time where I would do this online activism, wherein I think what I communicated also came across as you have to be perfect. You need to, check all of the boxes. But
Yeah.
I feel like I evolved in terms of my opinions about environmentalism, and now I see why imperfect environmentalism is important. Also based on where everybody comes from, what resources they have in hand, what how much time they have in hand to pursue different things. So I think
Right.
imperfect environmentalism makes a lot of sense, and definitely not something we should get hate for.
Yeah. I think that's such a good point that perfection comes from a lot of privilege. Yeah, like Shua said, she's very underprivileged to be a student right now, so she can't be a perfect environmentalist. Anyway, so Neha, would you like to go?
Yeah, I think that perfection tends to put a pressure on, like, when you try to be as perfect as possible, you tend to put pressure on yourself also, and that causes so much strain. And um, I agree with what Dhruv and Aditi said about it's not possible to eat everything that has like a zero carbon footprint or buy sustainable clothing. It's expensive, and buy thrifted clothes all the time, or what, like not take flights because it has such a high carbon footprint. It's not possible, but it's about taking the middle approach, like small things, maybe meatless Mondays or reusable shopping bags, things like that.
Right, right.
And like celebrating those mini achievements.
Okay, Shua, can you
Yeah,
add?
no, I remember when we were I think I was in school or something, and we used to get this I don't know if you all had EVS, environmental education, some
Yes.
sort. And I was very high and mighty at that time. So my dad, whenever he would have this pan masala thingies, and he would throw the packet outside the car, and I'd be like, no, we've studied in school, you can't throw this outside. And he's like, yeah, but everyone is doing it. Like, even if I don't do it, there'll still be so many outside. And like the point is, like, after that, it took me so many years to be able to tell him that, it doesn't matter what others are still doing it, you don't do it. Because even one not being outside, it matters. So even if
Yeah,
it's imperfect in the larger scheme of things, or even in your life as a whole, a small action also matters, right? So
that's such a good point.
yeah, so everything has to start imperfect. So even if you go to the gym and you start, you can't expect six pack the next day, no? So it has to start slowly only.
Yes, absolutely. So the next question. What was your inspiration or wake up call to take interest in sustainability? Shua, I am very interested in your.
I was actually studying. So I'm from Mumbai, and it was not a huge and not like a huge impactful thing as such, but in 2006 or somewhere around there, there was this huge flood that was in Mumbai, if you remember.
Yes.
And later, when we had a lot of people in our family impacted by that, and then later when we studied about it more and read more articles, we came to know it was about, it was a natural disaster, so to say, but it also happened because of a lot of plastic plugging up drains and stuff like that. And we were like, our decisions make an impact like that. Like,
Yeah.
it could cause a flood, it could cause a change in life like that. So that was the first time I was conscious about, things like this happening. But
Yes,
Again,
every pan masala packet matters.
right? So, but then again, I think I forgot about it for a long time. But then again, during architecture and now after being here, we started revisiting those incidents in our life. And
Right.
you know how you get to see the impact of something a lot later on in life. And I don't know, I feel like I'm more conscious about what will this amount to 20 years later, sort of
Yeah.
a thing now.
Yeah. I think even I was impacted because of architecture while um while working. I saw that like the building policies don't really prioritize sustainability. So whatever in college people used to keep saying that when you see your design built on site, you will fall in love, and I saw the design and I had seen the site before, and I was like, I'm just destroying the site. And that's when I felt that I am more pulled towards sustainability than I am towards anything else, because it had such an impact on me. Dhruv, would you like to go?
Yeah, I think, yeah, like I agree with you guys on how architecture somewhat shaped even, my understanding of what is sustainability, but I still wasn't, like very mindful or aware till like about 2 years back when I just like my parents basically they started becoming veganism due to health reason. So I was like, okay, let's try this lifestyle, like if it has an impact on me as well. And even though it was for health, like I started researching about it, and that's when I started watching a lot of documentaries, which completely like blew my mind. And it's like it's very common for people to watch a documentary and change. But then I also started connecting with other people to get to know more about those, like what is happening in the world. And I
Right.
realized, okay, if we don't be mindful right now, it's going to be super late. And
Yeah.
it sounds very catastrophic in that sense, but and like there was a lot of environmental anxiety that happened to
Hmm.
me like 2 years back because of this, and especially in COVID. But I think then I made my peace with it. I accepted it, and I realized that okay, uh, what people can do is at least take small steps and start talking about it. And that's where I, started just researching about it more.
That's great. Aditi, do you want to
Okay.
add?
Yeah, sure. I can't really recollect exactly like one incident that was a wake-up call. I remember in fifth grade in school, I was very excited to be part of. So in our school, we had this school cabinet, like the head girl, the
Yeah.
head boy. I don't know if you guys relate to this, but we
Yeah.
had that in 10th grade for the high school students, and then there was a small committee of fifth graders for the one grades below that. And I was super excited to give a speech on the environment and secure the position of an environment leader.
Wow.
That's my earliest memory of being interested in doing something for the environment. But I think my interest basically comes from family. I've always been sort of um, I've lived around simplicity, I think. Minimalism, that's like a
Right.
common trend I see around me, I saw around me growing up. So, yeah, I think that's probably what.
Can I
That's
ask
so
a
cool.
question? Like a
Of
real quick
course.
question. Yeah.
Sure, sure.
How did your parents, or like specifically your mom, get into environmentalism?
That's a good question. She has a degree in botany, and I think
Uh,
when she was studying, I remembered my mom when I saw Neha growing mushrooms the other day, because she used to tell me stories about how she grew mushrooms in her attic at home. And I think being around greenery, nature is something we all enjoy at home in my family. And so once you enjoy that, I think you also develop this instinct of wanting to protect it if you see it go away. So that's
Right.
probably what simple.
Right. I didn't know Neha grew mushrooms.
Yeah,
I feel like that would be a session.
sure. Would love to
Neha, do
talk
you
about it.
want to? Sorry,
I would love to talk about it sometime. Mhm.
that's great. Do you want to add to this?
Yeah.
This.
Initially, I was like, I don't really remember how I got into this, but like Dhruv started talking about his origin story, and then Aditi talked about how she got interested in this. And it's, I'm an industrial design student where we are told, like, when you design, also think about
Right.
the afterlife of that product that you're designing. Don't add more to what is already out there. But of course, I never really took it seriously. But and I am someone who turned vegetarian many years back, and I didn't realize how harmful dairy is because so my starting point has been actually documentaries on Netflix. Like if you guys have seen Cowspiracy, they talk about how dairy industry is so bad for the environment, especially
Right.
the factory farming. So that was the starting point for me, and that just created a series of events. Like I watched another documentary, which is True Cost. It talks about how the fast fashion industry is not only unsustainable, it's also unethical.
Right.
And yeah, once I'm affected by something, I think I take it really seriously. So I have been vegan for more than
So
5 years
glad
now.
you got affected.
Yeah, fashion, I try to buy as much as possible from thrift stores. Sustainable clothing is very expensive, so it's not always possible. That's
Right.
a huge hurdle, I think. But documentaries have been a huge influence on me, I think.
We will have sessions going through those documentaries also.
Mhm.
Hopefully, we will do that.
Oh, wait, I would
Shiva?
like to add one more thing. But
Yeah.
when I started out, I have felt very alone in my journey. So, and I always wondered, like, how can one person, like me, not removing animal products from my diet, how is that going to change? What
Right.
really helped me was finding people like me who are passionate and also implementing it in their life on social media. But still, there was that gap that, oh, they are on there somewhere on the social media. But finding people in your friend circle has been much more helpful. Like, I'm not alone in this journey.
Right.
Yeah, that
Right.
helps you keep going, I think.
That's so true. So,
Mhm.
Shiva, sorry, question for you. Uh, what is the least, what is the absolute least one can do for the environment according to you, or where should an absolute beginner start?
Mm, wow, am I the right person to ask this? I don't know. I think, okay, I guess I am a person who's at like the starting point of all of this. So what I just do are things that don't necessarily add to, don't necessarily make it difficult or time consuming for me, but like I think Neha had said it could be as simple as taking a cloth shopping bag and stuff.
Right.
When I go to for shopping, I look like this really weird school child. I have like this big empty backpack and this one jhola which I carry, and then when I'm coming back, it's like a backpack is full and the jhola is full, and that's why I'm coming back. So those are things which are not inconvenient, but it's like helping in its own way, I
Right.
guess. And besides that, certain product choices are the only thing that I can control. Like, I told you last time about the detergents and stuff that I'm using. I know I'm not at a place where I can make my own or create my own. And I also have a very limited budget to work on. So I compare the products that are available in my budget and then use the ones that I feel are having the least impact or harm.
We will definitely talk about your products.
For sure.
Um, but yeah, I think we're all very proud of you looking like a school child going to the supermarket. For me, I think I feel not overwhelming people कि इतना सारा करना है कि दुनिया खत्म होने वाली है etc. Like that's the least you can do for the environment is that not create panic. Just educate people, have patience, and without including all the panic. Yeah. So Dhruv, do you want to
Yeah,
go?
I completely agree with you. Like, I feel uh, like the least that we can do is not tell people what to do. That's wonderful because I feel
That's
like
okay.
once you start becoming a bit more ethical in what you're consuming or what you're doing for the environment, you get to this narcissistic higher state that you are better than others, or I don't know, like you need to tell people what to do. I feel that's completely wrong. Like people are free to do whatever they want, and you are
Yeah.
not going to tell them. All you can do is maybe tell them what you are doing and
Yeah.
hope that if they can find some goodness in that and continue with that, those kind of things. So I feel the least we can do is just do it ourselves and hope that people
Okay.
others continue on with
I'm guilty of that. When I became a
Even I am
vegan,
guilty of that.
even I went into that preachy mode when I had just turned vegan, and that's the worst you can do to your loved one. Like
Yeah.
suddenly, because you have changed, suddenly expecting them to change as well. So yeah, just live by example, I would say, as Dhruv said, like
That's true.
hoping that would influence them also.
Aditi, do you want to add?
I don't have much to add. I think everyone's covered most of it. But for me personally, I think I want to be more mindful. One thing, I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but especially the ones who moved from India to the US, I feel like when I was there and I was visually seeing what was happening around. So you see garbage around you, and I feel like that sort of makes sure that I'm mindful on a constant basis. That's something that's always in the back of my head. That I need to do this and that to make sure that my consumption is low, my impact is lower. But once I moved here, for some reason, I felt like I became much more of a consumer, and so I want to be more mindful. I think that's the least I could do. Um, I also remember when I was in India, I went on this 2 year break from buying clothes. I made sure that, I want to go take this challenge for myself. But I see how that's difficult for some reason once I moved to the US. And in general, even maybe because you're setting up a life here
True,
from
true.
scratch. But yeah, I think the least I would want to do is be more mindful.
Okay.
I feel like India as a country is way more I mean, I don't know, this might be
Sustainable?
completely wrong,
No, I agree.
More
but
I
sustainable, right?
like compared to the US
Yeah,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
terms
yeah,
of consumerism.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have a
We,
lot of options to repair stuff and
yeah,
reuse stuff,
Yeah,
recycle,
exactly.
yeah.
than what
There's
is
a
said.
motivation to be minimalistic. Like, even cost-wise, I feel like money drives so much of this.
Yeah.
Even the way systems are designed here, it's just motivating you to like buy more. Whereas in India, I feel like you end up repairing, reusing,
Yeah,
these
So
things.
Yeah.
yeah,
in
true.
design, we have a saying that the more restrictions you have, the better the design becomes. So I feel it applies to life as well. Like if you give someone too much money, they'll use it however they want. But
Uh-huh.
in India, it's like if you give them limited amount, like they'll obviously be mindful of what they have. So
That's true.
And I feel
Yeah.
like I also met more people back home who are individually passionate about doing more, probably because I'm new here. That's another thing. But yeah.
yeah, totally.
So that'll bring us to our next question. What do you think are the three biggest obstacles? I think we kind of covered this in the previous one. Three biggest obstacles to leading a sustainable lifestyle. Sorry, Neha, would you like to
Oh,
go?
I think we are part of a system where everything comes in a plastic packaging. And the one obstacle is we are part of that system. The other one is, I think, communication and information not being easily digestible. Like, for example, if I'm throwing out a packaging, there are those triangles with numbers on it. I don't know what they never make sense to me, and I'm not going to be searching on Google every time, oh, what does this number mean? Which trash does this go into? Another hurdle would be the cost factor, because sustainable food or sustainable clothing products or
Right.
anything for that matter is expensive. So not
Right.
everyone can afford it. Like Shua also mentioned, she's a student right now, so that stops her from buying anything that's sustainable.
That's true.
Mhm.
So, like we were discussing, like in the US, there are a lack of resources, I guess what you guys were getting at, to be
That is
sustainable.
also true. Yeah, we don't have easy access to tailors or
Yeah.
cobblers. In India,
Yeah.
there you would find it at every gully.
True, true,
Yeah.
true.
Also,
So
it's like
that
even if there are
that's
tailors and cobblers, I feel like I have to sell my kidney to afford it.
Yeah, it's very
Like,
expensive over
I
here.
yeah,
Getting
I
something
wanted
stitched from a
I wanted to
tailor.
get one single thing stitched and it cost like double the price of actually buying that piece of clothing. And I was like, why will I
Yeah.
get something stitched? I'll just buy something new. And that's when you end up keep buying and buying new stuff, even if
Yeah.
something little is wrong with it.
so true.
True.
I mean, I don't know, but this is news for me. But like, I feel like businesses should take up responsibility of making their products more, circular in nature, or like
Mm-hmm.
the whole circularity of the product. So that's one main reason I feel that that's a very big obstacle to leading a sustainable lifestyle. Then I think it's a very slow lifestyle, and when like the fast lifestyle is romanticized right now, I think
Mm-hmm.
it's very um, you need a lot of conviction to uh, lead this lifestyle. And also the third one for me would be that sometimes eco-friendly solutions like composting, or using food scraps, or eating food that is not very aesthetically pleasing, uh it just looks ugly, it's not Instagram worthy, it's not uh people find it gross or something like that. So I feel like people need to, I mean, this should be normalized that sometimes eco-friendly solutions are not very aesthetically pleasing, and that's okay. Yeah. So that those are my 3 points. Dhruv, would you like to go?
Yeah, I think I most of you guys have covered like the main points like costliness and everything. I feel one of the main obstacles that I have been facing personally is that I can't stick to those habits, and this is something which is like, there are so many distractions, even if it's in India or in the US, that it becomes super difficult to stick to something. So, and I think it stems from the fact that it's the system that we are in. So
Yeah.
I feel like even if you keep educating people, it's like after 3 months or 4 months, if they if they don't stick to it, they might forget it. So I
Yeah.
feel like if we can have like a community that might, continuously remind people of to stay on track and to, stay true to your ethics or whatever, that will be definitely help.
Values. Yeah. True.
Yeah, and I feel in terms of other obstacles, I think yeah, you guys have covered most of them. This was, I think, one of my main. Yeah.
Aditi,
Yeah.
would you like to add?
I think my only addition was going to be what I think what Drew also was trying to convey, which is people. I think when I was back home in India, I was around my mom, so or people who are, constantly talking about this and who are passionate about this. But apart from this community, I think I haven't really yet found a group of people who are constantly talking about it or influencing each other to do better. And I would say, with respect to veganism or environmentalism in general, that would definitely be the largest obstacle, which is like peers and the people. I guess it would depend on your personality too, but I know I'm very influenced by my peers and what goes
Yeah. So lack of
around
a
me.
community is a big one, right?
Yeah, and I'm glad that we're doing this because I'm sure that that'll help a lot of people like me.
Yeah.
I think I just want to add one more thing to that same thing, that it can be really isolating when you're doing it alone. And
That's true.
especially when your friends are completely not involved in this or disregarding, like you can be, you like your coolness can be affected, I would say, in that sense. People wouldn't
Yeah.
consider you
That's true.
fun to be around sometimes if you're not eating
Right.
something. And like there's so many things that people might start hating you. So it's a difficult thing. But yeah, having a community helps you at least be confident and comfortable in what you're doing. And yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like
I
you
agree.
have to balance between being inconvenient to someone else, but also making sure you're not. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Neha, would you like to add?
No, I agree with Drew. Like I buy a lot of clothes from the thrift store, and I often think about if I tell people that, oh, I got this top from the thrift store, they would
Yeah.
kind of judge me that, oh, do I not have
Really?
enough money that I'm buying from the thrift store?
No, same thing. Like even I've started buying electronics like phones and watches, like secondhand. And like my own cousins were like, dude, what are you doing? Just buy a new one. Like, why are you doing
Yeah.
that? I'm like, it's for the environment also.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would not tell my dad that I'm buying from thrift store
Exactly.
because he would be like, "What? Should I be sending you money? Are you do you not have enough money?"
Yeah. When I got these, UT had these um, thrift, they were basically hanging used t-shirts and stuff, and they were selling it for like $1 or $2. They had this weekly thrifting spree that they went on. But when I told a friend that I got this t-shirt from, the thrift sale that was happening, like, are you sure it's clean? Are you sure it's okay to buy this?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a valid point. You get a lot of judgment.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think we've covered a lot of obstacles. Let's
People poured out their
There are so many obstacles, guys.
frustrations.
Almost like a support group where people
Yeah, it just turned into like लोग मुझे गरीब समझते हैं यार क्या करूं but yeah, that was really enlightening because I think I flaunt on Insta that I follow so many thrift stores and I just felt like wow, I'm doing something new. I think it's not caught on yet in India, that's why
Mhm.
thrifting is not caught on yet in India.
Although I have, sorry to
I'm sorry.
interrupt, but although I have heard of second-hand luxury items, like
Oh.
they call it pre-loved
Oh,
luxury
right. Yeah, that's all.
products, handbags and whatnot.
So we are on to the
Pre-loved.
next
That's such a
Pre-loved,
last
yeah, it's a
question.
nice word.
Yeah, it's a very flowery word for thrifted. Uh, let's move on to the last question. How do you think people can find like-minded people for fostering such a community? Aditi, do you want to start?
Sure. Um, I can speak from personal experience. So, I think my career and what I'm studying basically is also in the same field. So, for me and for people who are also doing that, um, finding community is probably easier.
Right.
And for those interested, I thought I'd just plug this in, but climate tech is something that's growing in the US and across the world, and it's supposed to be the next big revolution after the internet revolution. So, for those interested, there are like I
Nice.
know a lot of really nice climate tech communities, um, um, and groups on LinkedIn basically, which meet even in person. But I think starting with following leaders in the field of
Right.
environmentalism could slowly, open new doors to groups and channels that talk about the same thing.
Right. Neha, do you want to add?
Hmm. I would agree with Aditi about like following leaders or influencers on social media. From personal experience, for me, what worked out was I have always been very shy about talking about this because, like, the fear of judgment and alienating people. Uh, but like, Dhruv is a friend of a friend with whom I felt comfortable sharing about it, and that's how I'm here today. So yeah, being vocal about the things you do because you care about the environment. So
Yeah, that's a good point.
hoping you would meet
I think,
a
yeah,
like-minded person. Yeah.
so being vocal so as to attract
Mhm.
like-minded people, right?
Spark conversations and see
Yeah.
who's on the same frequency as you at the moment, at least.
Right. Dhruv, do you want to add?
Yeah, I think you guys have raised some really good ways. Yeah, I think for me also, it was mostly like transitioning from like commercial work to more impact-based work. So I started like following a lot of these organizations like UN and just starting understanding like the SDG goals. And
Yeah.
I actually started working for one of these startups that was trying to do something for that. So it's, I think like for, yeah, it definitely helps if your career and your inner friend circle or like whatever, like your community is all aligned one way, so that you can have maximum impact that way. So
Yeah.
and meet the most people. So yeah, both those points are very valid.
Shua, would you like to add?
I actually don't really talk about it to a lot of people, so all of these points are like super great for me to hear. I used to just put out a lot of artwork based on this. And I would attract clients who were interested in it, but not necessarily friends. So I guess it became like a way to earn a little. But yeah, I think surrounding yourself, but just knowing how generally I work is, when you hang out with people, you start imbibing some of each other's traits.
Yeah.
So I feel like having communities like these should be super helpful, because the moment you see other people doing it, it seems more normal and more acceptable to do it.
Yeah. True. So I think we've covered all the questions, and I think we've ended on a really good note that we should always try to seek community, and if anyone wants to join our community, you can definitely email us. We will be adding our email in the description.
Yeah.
You can email us or DM us on Insta. Uh, and we will be very happy to talk to you and know more about you.
Yeah, you don't have to be our friend. You can
Yeah.
just attend these conversations.